Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Moving Forward podcast. I'm your host, Rabi, and I'm here with Andy Lamrock. Hello, Andy.
Hey, Rabi, good to be back. I think we've had a week off again.
Oh,
We're back.
some updates from Victoria. We're kind of opening up, but not yet. So they've lifted a number of restrictions recently. Most importantly, having the ability to get a haircut, which has been, I don't know about you, but my hair is terrible. Your hair looks pretty good right now, to be honest. So I don't think you've been struggling from the same things. But I'm sure you've been taking advantage of the expansion from 5 to 25 kilometers away from your house, the ability to do that.
Oh, yeah, I could maybe find a hairdresser that doesn't have a queue out the front.
Really? Have you been having a problem with that?
I walked up the street the other day and every single hairdresser had a queue out the footpath.
Wow. I don't know if that's
Because I think
I don't know
it's
if that's a
crazy.
CBD thing because my hairdresser was completely empty. Or maybe it's the quality of the hairdresser that I go to.
I was going to say, if I look at your
Yeah.
haircut,
Hey, come on. He's good. He knows what he's doing, I think. No one knows. No.
yeah. Isn't it
Okay.
incredible? 100 days of lockdown, and the most important thing is a haircut.
I think we're really privileged. I think that's what this shows is how lucky we are to be in a position to worry about our haircuts. Um, but things are going well in Victoria. The numbers are going down. We've had today, I think we have only 5 cases. This is the 22nd of October. We've had less than 5 cases a day for the past, I think, 3, 4 days. So hopefully an opportunity for early opening, but that's still not confirmed. But in general, I think our conversation today is kind of related to the pandemic. Um, I wanted to talk about some of the industry trends that you and I have been noticing um, uh, in different industries as a response to COVID and as a way to take advantage of the switch to work from home that a lot of businesses are implementing. I'd like to start with talking a little bit about some of the things that I noticed are getting a lot of hype in banking, for example. I
Mhm.
noticed a lot of banking corporations have been saying that the move to work from home has been easier for them just because a lot of their customer facing operations can really be done from home. So, for example, the ATMs can be used by people on their own. People can call in, which people a lot of them used to do it, call in to inquire about their accounts and so on and so forth. The use of applications have been very well, but blockchain has been something that has been trending recently, and its application in making sure that the payments are secure. AI has had a lot of impact on banking, a lot of investing in AI, especially for the bots that you see when you go to a bank's website and ask questions, and how that bot can analyze you emotionally as well to find how it can respond to you, and what it can upsell you. So that's what I've noticed in other industries as well. I've noticed a lot, but I'd like to get your point of view on this. What have been some of the things that I've been noticing?
Yeah, it's a good point. There is certainly accelerated change, which is I think we've talked about through the whole podcast so far.
Hmm.
And we're certainly not going to have large transformational projects that take 2 and 3 years to deliver anymore.
Hmm.
So we're definitely becoming more agile as a consumer of services. We're becoming more agile as a deliverer of services, which means we've got some new challenges on the horizon. So
Hmm.
the first is that we've got a completely, if we look at banking in particular, we've got a completely distributed market. The regulation now demands open banking and open standards and an API type architecture so more and more people want access to the bank's information, and they want more access, and they want deeper access and more intelligence to what's going on, right? So not only do we want to see a payment happen in real time, but we want to be able to understand what that really means. So all of a sudden, more and more people are accessing those transactional services that the banking industry offers us at greater velocity. And so what that means is that we have a much bigger attack surface presenting itself to this industry from a cyber perspective. So I think machine state integrity and those types of things, you alluded to that with blockchain. How do we actually know the machines that are connecting and accessing the data, that they are of an integral state and that we can allow them to access these information. So I think that that whole space blockchain and machine state integrity is
Yeah.
going to be huge, particularly over the next few months into next year. And there's a lot of work doing there. I think that's a big trend in that industry.
And some of the industries that we've noticed have been impacted to a lesser extent is manufacturing, because some of these jobs have been considered as um, uh, what do you call it? Primary jobs, or important jobs that have not been impacted a lot by the lockdown. Um, what do you see some of the changes that we're going to see in industry? Do you think it's going to be more towards machines, taking care of manufacturing, people kind of supervising? Maybe people are just looking at dashboards that is fed with information from sensors. We've talked about how Wi-Fi 6 can help a lot in the IoT with regards to industries where it can take the information from sensors in a more power efficient way. Do you see that as the way going? You see people being more analysts and in a monitoring position than actually doing work?
I actually see it also a little bit more differently than that. I think manufacturing, particularly in our country, Australia, is in for an absolute revolution, a huge boom. If we look at what the federal government's doing, particularly around the latest budget and driving growth through industry, driving power costs down with gas and those sorts of things, we are we are set perfectly. The landscape is perfect for manufacturing. Okay. I mean, during the lockdown, I went to Bunnings to get a light globe for the oven. Couldn't find one. And I was actually talking to one of the assistants in Bunnings, and she said to me, she goes, "You want a light globe for an oven? You've got to be dreaming." I said, "What do you mean?" She goes, "We don't even manufacture a light bulb in Australia anymore." And it was, pardon the pun, light bulb moment.
Yeah.
We have really gone away from manufacturing. What cheap electricity will do and the speed of technology, 5G, Mac, robotics, edge devices, etc., will be the manufacturing floor will be completely automated. It will be all robotic. So we're not going to suffer the challenges of the labor costs. Okay, there will always be labor costs, no question about that. But robots will really change that industry. And when you've got cheap power and you've got really fast technology that's private 5G and MEC type technology
Hmm.
is now starting to proliferate right the way across the Asia Pac region. Um, it's not just the big telcos in North America doing it. It is really targeted at that. So I think the government has set us up for a manufacturing boom right now.
And I think in general, if we're looking at all the industries, we have noticed, in addition to that, the move to cloud, which is really going to be supported by the likes of 5G, Wi-Fi 6, because I'm pretty sure you would want to access the applications that you have on the cloud really fast. And the ability to do that has will be enhanced with such fast and reliable internet connections. I mean, I just recently installed Wi-Fi 6 in my house, and it's very noticeable the quality of the internet, and how it has improved in my home. Um,
There's a
but
subtle difference there, though, Ravi, which is something that is really important to understand. So even though you want something fast, okay, you still got to go to the cloud to get it, right?
yeah,
So you can build a 20-lane freeway and have no one on it, but you still got to get from A to B. What's actually happening is we're bringing the cloud closer to the endpoint, to the user.
yeah,
And I think that's the thing that gets me excited when you talk about multi edge compute and containerization, Kubernetes on the edge devices, and all those sorts of things. You're actually moving the workload to the edge, very much like a content delivery network operates in the media space.
yeah,
And all of a sudden, you don't just have really fast networks, but you've got fast throughput because you're not having to travel miles.
yeah.
And
And
so that's the fast change.
we're really going to need that, because we've seen with our conversation about Google Workplace, Slack, a lot of our work is not really going to be on local folders. It's going to be on our cloud infrastructure, on our Google Drive, and so we're really going to need that access to these files really fast. Let's switch to a hot topic, aviation. They've really suffered through this. We've seen a trend of moving from passenger aviation to cargo. What are some of the things that you've noticed, and have you seen any opportunities for these companies to invest in order to come back and stand up again?
Yeah, I think I still think there's an appetite to travel, and Qantas putting out that special flight, around Australia with a low fly pass over Rock, $700 a seat, sold out in minutes, right? So
Mm,
I think travel is something that will come back. There's no question about that. And I'm sure Bain Capital wouldn't have invested in Virgin if they didn't think it was going to come back. However, I do think how we travel will change. I'm not sure exactly how that will happen, but that industry itself is certainly suffering, and it's having to obviously reinvent itself along the way. So being able to repurpose planes and use them for other types of missions besides passenger is critical, and I think there's great signs that that industry is doing that incredibly well. But I think they're still in for a bit of a waiting game with regards to borders opening and travel happening.
absolutely, and I can't wait to find out whether or not the aviation industry is going to benefit from the rollout of low orbit satellites that are providing internet to people. I mean, we've seen that with a lot of corporations that are trying to do that right now. I believe one of Elon Musk's companies are trying to do that. Amazon is attempting to do that as well. Facebook have tried to do that. So that would be very helpful, very interesting to see how such industries would benefit from that in a way that we didn't uh,
Well,
expect.
I think that's probably one of the key game changers in the fourth industrial revolution is connectivity for everyone, but connectivity at high speed and low latency. When you look at those low orbit constellations that are going up there, they effectively can replace terrestrial type backhaul services. When that happens, a constellation means that we can get coverage as good as we have on a fiber connection in the best city in the world, right in the middle of the Sahara Desert, right? That's the game changer. When we have that, then all of a sudden, when you bring the cloud closer and the applications closer to wherever the user is, industry can be built and developed anywhere. Experiences can be had anywhere.
And that's
And
really
we're
going to
very,
and it's really going to be a revolution with regards to equal access to internet globally, even in a country where you don't have the infrastructure. You're going to have the ability to access fast internet, which opens up the market for online businesses to millions, if not billions, of more people that are going to be flooding to these industries.
yeah. The big takeaway for me in all of this is that the network has never mattered so much as what it has before. I've been saying that for a couple of years, but we have seen the providers get closer to the cloud, work closer with the cloud service providers to bring that technology to the edge all the way through this difficult time of 2020. We haven't taken a backward step. We've continued to innovate. We've continued to deliver. And so I just don't see that trend changing. Connectivity and workload at the edge is the future.
Awesome
It's here now.
conversation. Awesome. A lot of trends are going. Things are moving fast. It's getting exciting. Things are opening in Victoria, and hopefully numbers will keep going down. Um, Great conversation, Andy. This was episode 24 of the Moving Forward podcast. Thank you everyone for listening. Thanks, Andy.
Thanks, Rabi. Don't forget to smile, everyone.